Hey YouTube, this is Taryn, and I'm coming to you on a video about breastfeeding and storage and basically building up a supply. And even if you're not working, I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I don't have to have a big supply because most of the time he's with me. My son is 4 months old. This is actually my second time breastfeeding. I breastfed with my first son for about 6 months because I ended up going to college, so it was a little bit easier just to not breastfeed instead of, I did for a while, but it just seemed easier since he was starting solid foods and stuff to go ahead and give him formula. But I think this time I'm going to try to breastfeed my second son for a year if I can. So I just wanted to go ahead and do a video on how to pump breast milk, how often, and how to store it and all that good stuff. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do if you're going, even if you're not going to be away from your child for a long time, I would say just to have a supply. Sorry about that. I had to stop for a second. Anyways, what I was saying, even if you're not going to be away from your child for a long time, you still need to build up a supply, just in case, say there's an emergency, you have to leave them with somebody, or you get sick and you have to be away from them overnight at the hospital or the emergency room. You want to be able for someone else to feed them just in case. So I was not even worried about having a supply because I was like, oh, well, I stay at home, so I don't need to have a supply. But like I said, it's good to have one just in case if something happens, or even if you might have to take medication that's not good for the baby and the breast milk. So the first thing that I did was, once he got the hang of breastfeeding and everything, they say you should wait at least 6 weeks for them before you introduce them to a bottle. So that's what I did. I waited till he was 6 weeks and I introduced him to a bottle with breast milk in it, and he took to it fine. I didn't have any problems. So what I started doing in order to build up my supply was, once I fed him, I make sure he was full, and then I would pump whatever breast milk was left in that breast. So for instance, if I breastfed him on the right breast, then I would go ahead and feed him. He get all the milk that he needs, and then I would pump the rest of the milk out. So you want to make sure you don't pump too much, because sometimes you can deplete your supply, because you want to make sure that your child is getting the most of the milk. So I would only pump like maybe 2 or 3 ounces per day, just to make sure. And eventually your body, if you're going to be pumping every day, eventually your body will begin to make enough milk for your child, and also for you to be able to pump as well. So the first thing that you want to do is make sure you have a pump. Now I have both. For some reason my electric pump is not working right now, so I went out and purchased a manual pump, just because I can't afford to buy another electric pump right now. And actually the pump that I got was secondhand from my cousin, so I'm not able to take it back or anything. So I'm gonna try to call the customer service line to see if they can help me with it. But anyways, moving on. So I went out and I purchased the Medallia Harmony manual breast pump, and I really like it. Actually, it's not. I thought an electric pump would be the best, but I actually like the manual pump. So this is what it looks like. This is what you get a little thing to place the bottle in. Then this attachment attaches to the top of the bottle, like so. And then, oops, I forgot a piece. There's a piece that goes inside of this part. It goes inside. And then screw that to the top of the bottle. Then this part goes to the front, like that. And then you have the handle that goes right here. And the reason I chose this one was because my electric pump is a Medallia pump. So I was like, I want to make sure that all the bottles that I purchased would still fit. So it was no point in getting a different kind or a different brand of breast milk. Breast pump. So anyways, that's my breast pump. And I really like it. It works really good. It's not too complicated to use, and I didn't want too many pieces that I had to worry about cleaning afterwards. So that's my breast pump right there. Okay. So the first thing is, like I said, you only want to pump 2 to 3 ounces a day. So you, what I did was I would go ahead and pump into this. And breast milk lasts a really long time as long as you put it in the fridge. So I would pump in the same bottle. So say, for instance, every day I would pump 2 ounces into the same bottle. And once I got enough milk, because I also have these bags. These are Landish, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, breast milk storage bags. So I would pump enough because I didn't want to waste the bags. I just pumping freezing 2 ounces of milk at one time. So I wanted to go ahead and build up enough to go ahead and pour enough milk to store here. Now this one, it holds 6 ounces as far as the measurements, but I actually fill it up sometimes to 8 ounces of milk and don't have any problem of it spilling once it freezes or anything happening to the bags, because it is very, I wouldn't say they're expensive, but they can be if you're using them a lot. So I wanted to get the maximum amount of milk in here that I could, so it would be worth using it. But if you're only freezing 2 or 3 ounces, it's not really worth it. I would get the smaller bags, because they do make smaller bags where you can freeze 5 ounces, and I have those as well. But most of the time I use these because now that he's older, he's 4 months now, he's drinking 4 to 5 ounces. So I just go ahead and freeze it, and if he stays with somebody else, they would be able to get 2 feedings out of 1 bag. Okay, so like I said, I would go ahead and fill this up every day with 2 ounces, and then once I got 8 ounces worth of milk, I would go ahead and freeze it in this bag. And I really like these bags because they do have a place, I don't know if you can see that, they do have a place where you can put the volume of milk and the date. Oh, it's upside down, sorry about that. The volume and the date on there. So there that is. And also, when you store your milk, you want to make sure you write the date and the volume on the milk, so that you can remember. Because if you don't have a deep freezer, if you just put it in your, like you have a separate compartment for your freezer, most refrigerators do, your milk only lasts about 3 months. So you want to make sure you label it so you know how long and how old the milk is. And you want to make sure you place it in the back, towards the back of your freezer. So, you know, if you're going in and out of your freezer, you're not defrosting your milk. So you want to make sure it's at the back of the freezer where it's the coldest, and it'll stay the freshest. And then just to defrost your milk, all you do is you would run it under some warm water in a cup. And it's pretty simple. And another tip that I have is, I love, and I'm not sure where I got this from, is that you can use the top of your breast pump as a funnel. So once you get enough breast milk, you want to go, if you're emptying one of your storage bags into a bottle, sometimes it can be a little hard to control it when you're pouring it out. So what you can do is use the top of your breast pump as a funnel on the bottle. So you're not spilling in what I call liquid gold from your, when you're trying to transfer it from your storage into your bottle. So you just want to pour that into here as a funnel. So I thought that was a good tip. Also, another tip that I have is you want to make sure, you want to make sure you keep track of which breast you breastfed on last. I know they have bracelets and stuff that you can use, but most of the time I just use a hair tie on my wrist, or a rubber band or whatever I can find, and that helps me remember what breast I used last. So I'm gonna go ahead. That's it. So if you have any questions or comments, like this is what works for me. I'm not a breastfeeding consultant. I can just give tips and tricks that work for me. And my son is gaining weight and doing very well being a breastfed baby. So if you have any questions, go ahead and leave them, or you can email me and I'll be glad to answer them for you. Okay, thanks guys. Have a good night. Bye.